back to the How to Get an Analytics Job podcast. So we've got a very unique episode in that we're on campus here at Greensboro College, and we actually just had a board meeting. And I'm sitting here with the chairman of the board of the business school, Chris Cositore, and we're going to be talking about quite a few things. So number one, we're going to get into the background, his background specifically, his affiliation with Greensboro College, and also his experience hiring one of our students. Right now, it's an interesting job market. By interesting, I mean it's pretty rough. So one of the core themes here is we're going to be talking about networking, which, I mean, this is a great story. So Chris, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing all right. It was I love that we got to geek out on AI earlier today.
Yes.
That was a fun conversation.
We had it was an amazing conversation. I feel like a dinosaur, which is, I'm sitting there going, wow, when we're having a discussion on the board meeting of, we can use Copilot for this and that.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here going, I only thought a Copilot was the guy who sat on the other side of the plane.
Well, there's that one guy who called it autopilot.
Yeah. That's what I
thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, I was autopilot, Copilot, whoever it is. It's just, it was amazing. I know technology has come so far, and what I do, we're in the people business, so we do a lot of one-on-one interaction with people, and to sit there and hear about Copilot can take everything and just turn it into something. It's just it's amazing.
So I guess for the audience, like what's your background? What are you doing right now?
So I am the vice president of sales for LGI Homes. I oversee all sales operations for the state of South Carolina. We are the 14th largest builder in the country, publicly traded on the NASDAQ. Our ticker symbol is LGIH. Definitely a great time to go ahead and buy our stock right now. Highly would recommend it. But no, been with LGI for a little over 6 years now. Just celebrated 6 years working with them back on January the 2nd. So probably hands down, I have to say the best company I've ever worked for in my entire life.
That's awesome.
And I worked for a pretty large company prior to, came from the retail industry, worked for one company prior for about 15 years, on and off a little bit. And so I'm a little bit of a business retail junkie nerd.
Yeah.
How we were talking about all the stuff around here. I get a little geeked out by some of that stuff.
That's good.
Everyone talks about, they got their own little nerdy stuff. I like to read the excerpts of earning reports from the retail side.
Oh, wow. So you got your finger like on the pulse.
Yeah, I love this stuff. Like I get nerded out by it. I feel it's so cool because you learn a little bit about the consumer psychology of everything and, who we are and all that sort of fun stuff.
Well, I think there's something to that in that if you're genuinely interested in the work that you do every day, you're not going to just show up a little bit more. It's going to be like an exponential curve over 5, 10, 15 years, right?
Oh yeah. You dive in and I remember there was times at a previous employer where I was looking at the clock going, all right, when am I getting out of here?
Right.
When am I done for the day? But I mean, the other night I was sitting in my office till about 8:30 and going, oh my God,
So you just got lost in the work.
I got lost in the day and just it didn't even feel like it. And I'm just like, man, I ate lunch at 11 and I didn't even know I was starving. I'm just sitting there going, I've had a great day. This is so much fun. It's fun work that we get to do. And you just get lost in it, so it's a lot of fun.
It sounds like you found a cheat code.
Yes. Yeah. It's a rare circumstance that you get to find yourself with the right company at the right time. And, I definitely found that with LGI Homes for sure.
All right. So I've been on the board, I think for 6, 7 years. You've been on the board even longer than I have.
Yep.
So what's your overall affiliation with Greensboro College?
So I'm a graduate of Greensboro College, graduated class of 08, graduated with a business management major. I played lacrosse here for 3 years. I came here, I transferred into Greensboro College after my freshman year. I love the place. I've always been coming back ever since I graduated. Come back for lacrosse games every now and again, and I just love the vibe of what campus brings. It's a small school. We're right downtown. It is just it feels like home. Every time I come back, it's just like, man, all the memories keep coming back of I lived over there. That was my dorm room there.
Oh, yeah.
I remember studying for a final. Now it's funny up there upstairs in the library. I'm like, where's all the books? Like, where's everything? Because when you walk in the library on the left hand side, we're now like this is the collaboration area. I was like, I remember cramming for my exams there. I remember just marketing and taking calc. And going, oh my God, this is going to be brutal. So,
Gotcha.
but yeah, so it was. I love it here. I ended up getting on the board. This was, I want to say, this is about my 10th year on the board. And Very I've been chairing the board now for, I believe this is my 3rd year. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
All right. So I feel like this is probably one of the coolest things we can talk about is, all right, so you graduated in 08, gone off into the business world. Now it's kind of come back around full circle in that you actually hired a GC graduate. So you want to just kind of tell us about that story?
Yeah. So, every time I come to campus for a board meeting, I always end up speaking to a couple of classes. And one thing I always leave everyone with is my contact information. Hey, if you ever have a question, you need help with a resume, an interview, whatever it is, maybe just some interviewing techniques, some advice. You can call me. I will answer. You send me an email, a text message. I will reach out to you. We'll strike up a conversation, and I'll help you any way I can. Well, this student reached out to me and said, "Hey, I would love some of your time." And I said, "Okay, well, when are you available?" He said, "How about right now?" And I was like, "Well, now works. Let's do it." And so we struck up a conversation. This was his sophomore year. And so I've seen him grow from a sophomore. I made a promise to him. I said, hey, when you graduate, I will come to your graduation. Sure enough, last year, got to watch him, technically this year, last school year, got to watch him graduate. It was really cool. And we hired him straight out. The one thing that we really looked for with him, and I actually talked about this with one of the classes earlier today that I spoke to, was the one thing that GC has is a blue collar mentality, right? The people here are blue collar in mindset and work ethic, right? They're the people who are going to take their lunch pail to work and their hard hat and just grind and get after it, right? They're not I call it the pinkies up atmosphere,
the silver spoons.
Oh yeah. There's not a lot of trust funds running around here, and everyone works hard. And that's the one thing that I look for as a hiring manager is you give me someone with the right attitude, the right character, and the right work ethic, we can work with that. I can teach you how to do the other stuff. I can't teach you how to be a hard worker and have a good attitude. I can't teach you how to do any of that.
Yeah, so that's more just kind of characters, kind of what you can't teach character. No. It's like something you kind of, it's instilled in you, right?
Yeah, it's like, it's either you got it or you don't, right? So just like an athlete, there's a lot of athletes here on campus. I can't teach someone how to be tall. I can't teach you how to be fast. I can maybe increase your speed, but I can't teach you how to just be fast to begin with. I can maybe help you get incrementally quicker, but I'm not going to teach how to be super fast. So you either got it or you don't. So,
gotcha.
Yeah. So we look for just the hard workers, right? We look for people. We build an organization on character, not characters. And there's a big difference between. So you got to have character, right? And there's a lot of people who act like characters, right? A bunch of chuckleheads,
like they're method acting, or they're playing a role. Like I'm in my villain era, so to speak.
But the character is, what are you doing when no one's watching you, right? I'm not a micromanager. I'm never going to stand over your shoulder and say, John, what are you doing today? How did you do? With the Elon Musk email that's going around, what did you do this week? Right? Send me the 5 things. I'm going to watch your work. Your work is going to speak for itself.
Right. Which we were talking off air about promotions, and some companies, they need to post the jobs publicly. I
Mhm.
guess it depends on regulations, maybe around size. But you were saying that once you get the job, how you show up to that
Mhm.
is your interview for your potential
Yeah.
promotion.
Yeah, every day you show up to work, it's your interview to keep your job or get promoted for the next job. And I think we all lose sight of that. Instead of just saying, well, I've been here 6 years, I'm owed this. Well, you're not owed anything,
That sense of
right?
entitlement.
Correct.
Yeah.
You're not owed anything. You are owed the opportunity because you were accepted on for the role. What you do with that opportunity, well, that's up to you,
Mhm.
right? Um, but no, we look for people with good character, good ethical behavior, and those are the people who fit well within our organization and tend to thrive.
Right.
And right now, we actually have 2 Greensboro College graduates who work in our organization outside of myself.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting how things have changed because back 2 or 3 years ago, specifically in the analytics space, it was booming. Like
mhm.
you could get a job so easily.
Oh, yeah.
You just go do one click apply on LinkedIn.
hmm
You hit 100, 200. I mean, they take 5 seconds to
Yeah.
do,
Yeah.
and then and it seems like the market has constricted
hmm
somewhat to where I guess I'll share like my personal experience. Back around 9, 10 months ago, I was on the job market. I applied to 196 jobs, got interviews at 5 companies, and got 2 offers.
Mm.
So those numbers are not great. I mean, let's just round that up to 200. I mean, that's what, a 2.5% application to interview.
Yep.
And then, I mean, the 40%, I guess, is decent. But
hmm
think about how much I had to push to get that out there
hmm
versus when you build relationships and you nurture them over time. Like, RJ Bear, who's on the board,
hmm
he's the, I think his role is like head of sales and business analytics at Contour.
Yeah. He's up there.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know he's got a really cushy, nice title.
But 2 years,
Well earned title, by
yeah.
the way.
But 2 years ago, he introduced me to a guy by the name of Martin, who is the VP of IT for a construction company.
hmm
We kept in contact because I kept trying to get them to come and work with my students and like carve out a project. But I mean, we kept up through email. We've gone to lunch a few times. Turns out they're looking to hire their first business analyst, and I'm now in the 3rd round of interviews for them.
Wow.
Which, I mean, think about from your perspective as a hiring manager, I mean, they went through a recruiting firm, I think, to get the other person, but then this other candidate, the 2 that they're looking at, one is a known quantity
hmm
and has been honest and has been, trying to help you.
hmm
It feels, and I don't want to who knows, maybe the other candidate is just a better fit and
hmm
they need to go with their best interest.
hmm
But by courting these kind of opportunities, I feel like you're kind of stacking the deck in your favor.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of companies will, like, we minimize risk.
Right.
So when we are able to recruit the individual, like if I go out and I find someone and I have an interaction, whether I'm buying a car or I'm buying a piece of real estate or whatever it is that I'm because we're all consumers at the end of the day of something.
Right.
When I'm out there buying something, and if I have a great interaction and I go, my God, I'm buying something because of this individual, I may be paying more for, that bottle of water. But because that person did such a great job of building a connection with me, I'm now buying a water that may cost 10% more than somewhere else, right? So networking has been very beneficial for a lot of us, right? And building that connection. And I think that's kind of where we're heading here.
Yeah.
Is we minimize risk when we network and find the right people. Because I get to know, like the gentleman that we hired from GC just last, I know his work ethic, I know his character, right? And that right there, if I was interviewing you or Craig or anybody else, I'm taking a gamble.
Right.
I'm taking a gamble on what your intentions are, what your character is. I'm doing references on you and I'm asking you questions during the interview to get to know who you are. Because I know I can teach you how to do anything, but I need to figure out who you are as an individual. And from a sales perspective, would I buy from you, right? And do I want to work with you every single day? So That's what we look for. This guy checked all the boxes for us. He's a little green, right? He's never done real estate before, but that's fine. He doesn't come with some of the extra baggage of that we have to reprogram him and teach him.
That's actually that's an interesting point I heard years ago. Of one way of reframing lack of experience is, hey, I don't have any bad habits. So yeah, there is a, before I got into analytics, I sold insurance door to door. So being able to persuade and influence people is really, really valuable.
Yeah.
And I think specifically in the analytics space, a lot of people kind of want to just sit in like the back room and code in darkness, and it's not really well, number one, that's not really realistic, but then also too, you've got to interview. You can't go and talk to a computer screen and get a job. Like it's just not, it doesn't work that way.
No. And we do our first interaction with someone when we are looking to interview. Well, when we interview them, we are doing it via Zoom, but we're doing it face to face. It's not the AI generated questions.
I see. I guess a little side tangent here. I didn't realize that HR companies are doing AI screening now, where the AI asks you questions specifically about your resume, and then you respond in a video recording. Which, man, back, I think this was 9 years ago when I interviewed for my internship at Volvo. I had to do like just a screen recording, which was so awkward.
Yeah,
but it sounds like the same thing, but it's just like an extra layer of sophistication as well.
And it takes the humanization out of it, right?
Yeah.
And we're in this big digital world right now, and I know that we're, looking to be efficient with everything, but we still can't forget the human connection that we have to have, right?
Well, I mean, it is a legitimate problem though in the recruitment, HR, whatever you have it, space. In that I saw a LinkedIn post about Mr. Beast was hiring a video editor. He made a LinkedIn post or a LinkedIn job posting. Guess how many people applied for it?
I've got to assume millions.
35,000.
Okay.
Which, I mean, is less than millions, but still, how do you go through 35,000 applications?
Right.
Like that is an insurmountable task if you want to just do it through human labor. So that's kind of where AI is definitely solving a problem.
Yeah, I could see AI helps us out with that, because one of the things that will disqualify you with us is spelling errors on your resume with us. So that's kind of how we can start to weed out, because it's the attention to detail, right?
Yeah.
Around 1% of the people who apply for our organization ever get hired on. I mean, we are extremely selective about who we hire. We take the best of what we can, of what is out there, right? And so whether we have to go find them or they come to us, we're hunting every day for the best of the best. We're not gonna lower our bar for anybody just to say, well, we need a body. We're not just gonna go hire a body. Right. We're gonna hire the right person, and because otherwise we're just gonna see our quality go down. We're gonna see our customer experience go down, and that is extremely damaging to an organization.
That's true. Yeah, I definitely haven't really thought about the hiring market as far as the aspect of like risk mitigation from the hiring person's standpoint. But you're right. I mean, like you don't know these people.
No.
I mean, so getting to know them a little bit, you can kind of get like a gut feeling of yes, this is a good fit, or this person seems a little bit shady. I can't put my finger on it, but
well, think about it, right? So if you're hiring just for let's just call it a manager, right?
Okay.
And let's just say a manager, mid-level manager, is going to make $80,000 in a salary, right? Well, they're in charge of a few other people, so that one decision, and let's say they have 3 people that report directly to them, right? So that person is not just an $80,000 salary. You now have the salaries of the others in jeopardy at the moment, because if this person's a bad apple, this one manager is a bad apple, is going to affect everybody else.
Ruin the overall culture of that department.
Now I'd have to replace the manager. I have to replace each individual that reported directly to him. And that's just salary. Now I've got new training expense. I have I have benefits that I've been paying for with these individuals. That's money, that's capital that's going out the
You got
window.
the opportunity cost, the sales that you're missing out on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, so we can dive into the analytics on that and how much it costs, but
it's a headache.
That is the exponential one, right?
A migraine?
Yeah. I mean, buy stock in Excedrin,
Yeah.
but it is, it really is just, you have one bad hire, especially as a manager. It can really cost an organization just a lot.
Gotcha.
I mean, we're talking millions of dollars. I mean, in the real estate market, right?
Yeah.
It just by one individual. So, and I tell every manager who's going into management. I spoke to the management class earlier today. And I said, well, why do you guys want to become managers? Why do you want to do this? And they're like, oh, well, like helping, da, da, da. I'm like, well, that's great. That's all good and well. But what you really need to be thinking about is you are the topic of conversation at every dinner table for every one of your employees.
Ah, that's true. Yeah.
Because everything you do or don't do is going to be brought up. Because, think about when you get home from work and you sit down and you're having supper with your partner and you're just going, hey, how was work today? Oh my God, Chris, he did this. And oh my God, John did that. Craig couldn't work the soundboard for anything. Like, this was horrible. Just kidding, Craig. You're doing a great job.
Yeah. Craig's the gold star hire.
Yeah. He has not cost us anything. So, but when you think about it, right, that you are the topic of conversation at every dinner table, and you are directly affecting every single person, every mouth at that dinner table. So it's, you have to wear it with a badge of honor, and also know that you are responsible to these people, right? You're responsible to help guide them to their success. They've got to go out and do it, right? And you got to be willing to care more about their success than you do your own, because as long as you help all of them, at the end of the day, you're going to get every goal that you could have ever imagined.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I feel like we've discussed kind of the what's at stake hiring a person.
Mm-hmm.
Do you mind kind of getting into like, how do you think about structuring an interview? Or do you have any questions that are kind of like, if they get this wrong, they're out pretty much? I got, like, for example, one of the questions that I got hit with in the analytics interview, and this was kind of the knockout question, was, is it better to be good and on time or late and perfect? So like, I mean, it's not really, there's not a correct right answer, but for that organization, it shows you how you think.
Correct.
And it, if you were working in, I don't know, the government, maybe you'd go one side, but working in merchandising, you'd go a different way.
Sure. Yeah. For us, and I'll just speak for me, what I look for is, first, how do you show up to the interview? Are you on time? Right? How are you dressed for the day? Right? You're here for a job interview, right?
Yeah.
You can't be, we're not out at, the sports bar grabbing a beer, right? We are, one of the last interviews I had, someone actually showed up in a Hawaiian shirt. And some,
That's funny.
yeah. And so I'm sitting there going, all right, well, I know the answer to this. You are not moving forward.
Yeah.
We're all in agreement that we're not moving forward.
Oh.
But we still gave the gentleman the respect of the interview and all that sort of fun stuff.
But it's like a walking red flag.
Yeah. I'm just like, you understand you are the one asking us for a job. We're not asking you to come.
Right.
I didn't come to your luau and say, hey, do you want to come work for our company? You came to us looking for a job, right? How do you communicate? And one of the things that we have our admins at the front of the office. They're our office managers. They're the first face of the organization that any one of our customers see. I want to know, and the first question I'm going to ask our office managers is, hey, how did they talk to you?
It's like going on a date and it's like they treat the waiter bad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's like a subtle sign of character, like what we were talking about earlier.
Like, are you going to talk to these people like they're beneath you, or because I don't care who you are, we all put our pants on one leg at a time.
Right.
We are all just normal people. We all want to be happy, but I don't want you being a jerk to anybody in our team, because that's a non-negotiable for us. We are going to support each other through the ins and outs, the ups and downs. And if you're not treating anybody with respect, I mean, especially on a day of a job interview,
Right.
like I can already tell your social awareness is like, or emotional intelligence has completely left the building. So
Yeah, and I guess so in your space, it's sales focused, right?
mhm.
So like those are very, very important. I think in the analytics sector, being a little bit less socially
Mhm.
dialed in, you can kind of get away with that. Although if it's so bad that it's like you're a pain to work with, like
Oh
that's
yeah.
probably going to
Oh
disqualify.
yeah.
They're going to sniff that out probably within the first. I mean, I don't think it's as swiftly as a Hawaiian T-shirt, but it's
Mhm.
within the first
Yeah.
few minutes.
Yeah. I mean, you still show up very respectful, right? Um, with a suit and tie if you have it, or sport coat and button up. Look presentable, right?
Yeah,
You're looking for a job, right? Um, and then as far as analytics, you may not have to communicate a whole lot, right? Like on the sales side, we are doing nothing but talking all day. On the analytics side, it's going to be a little bit different, right? You may want to know, hey, how do you structure your day? How do you stay, you know, focused in on what you have to do?
right.
How quick can you break everything down? But then I also want to know, how can you communicate to the rest of us what the data's showing, right? Because like
Yeah,
if I need you to break down, a balance sheet for me, I mean, there's a whole bunch of numbers. Hey, how do we increase
yeah,
revenue? How can we decrease cost? Right? Where are some of our red flags? And you can tell me, but I need you to tell me concisely what that is. Right?
right.
So you still have to communicate. Maybe not as much, but still need you to communicate.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely the critical thinking, the business acumen, the technical
Hmm.
skills, but like all of that's kind of lost if you fumble and can't
Hmm.
explain it in
Correct.
a way that's
Yeah.
coherent and also concise. I feel like a lot of people, like we've started doing some mock interviews, and um, I always throw "tell me about yourself"
Hmm.
as like the starter kind of icebreaker
For
question.
sure.
Some people will ramble for like 10 minutes, and you got to cut them off. Um, I mean, they're not looking for like, it was a cold winter morning. Like they're not. It's not like a autobiography. It's
Right.
like, okay, I mean, don't read your resume line by line, but like
Hmm.
frame it up
Yeah. Have a
in a
good
way that like what's relevant
Yeah,
here,
give me a good elevator speech, real
right?
quick. Who are you? Tell me a little bit about you. I mean, and that's also to get the candidate nice and comfortable and loose, right? Because we're all.
Right.
I
Well,
think I think every company leads with that. By the way, I don't think that's
yeah.
it. I think everyone does it. Hey, just tell me a little bit about you, just so we can all take a breath.
Well, yeah. I usually tell my general. Actually, I would love to get your input on this. My advice is usually it's roughly 3 sentences:
Hmm.
what you've been doing, what you are currently doing, and what you want to do,
Mm,
and like plug it into the company. And maybe like it could be 1 or 2 sentences or three, but it's like you want it pretty concise.
sure. Yeah, I mean, that's right on par for what it should be.
Yeah.
You don't want to get too. I mean, if you're 15 minutes in and we're sitting here having a conversation about, who are you? I'm probably lost. And I don't even know if you found who you are yet, right? You may have to
Yeah.
be that senior at the end of graduation. I'm going away for a little bit. I got to go find myself
Yeah.
because it just took you 15 minutes to answer. Well, tell me a little bit about you, you know?
Well, there's also too, there's an opportunity within that question uh to make some emotional bids.
Hmm.
You know what I
Hmm.
mean when I say that?
I think so.
So almost like conversational hooks.
Sure.
Like some things that are relevant, like we talked about AI,
Hmm.
Well, in the future, I'm really interested in seeing kind of where the intersect goes as far as AI and analytics.
Hmm.
That's where I want to go in the future.
Where do you see it, by the way? I'm interested to hear your thoughts.
See, that I'm going to get a little meta here. That was a perfect segue of an emotional bid.
Yeah.
So you mentioned a topic and then they ask about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Where do I? So I've been doing some research on. And I should have brought this up in the board meeting, but so are you guys using dynamic sales, Microsoft's dynamic or CRM system?
Nope.
So the newest iteration of Microsoft CRM system has embedded AI. So like it will take notes on your calls with clients it will also take details about them, and then when certain criteria is met, it will draft an email and say, "Hey, you should send this email to X person because X relevant, the tariffs have been lifted." And it can also help you create content that you can share with them as far as so that's where I think AI and analytics are going. Is it's not only just giving insights and then pushing it off to the decision makers, is that some of it is going to be automatic. So you set up the system where certain criteria is met. Oh, our stock, our wood stock is dipped below 86%. Time to automatically queue an order to the warehouse to order more of that. So I think that's where it's going. Where it's a little bit, it's less reactive. I'm not, hey, Mr. Vice President, what are you focused on today? Oh, cutting costs. All right, I'm going to go dig in the data and find you something. It's much more proactive.
Interesting.
I mean, I could be off. Like this is what I'm seeing as the state of where it is now.
Yeah.
I don't know how. I haven't actually gotten to do an implementation or work with a company that is on that level of sophistication. But I mean, how does that hit you, as far as I
think it's awesome because my whole thought into AI when AI was coming out was the Terminator, right?
I mean, we may be there. RJ was talking about Moore's Law. And it's, we don't even know what's going on.
Yeah, no. And when I think it was Gabe who was making a mention of, there was these two AI bots just talking to each other and they damn near exploded because.
Oh yeah. They just started talking in
Yeah. I was like, see, this is the part that just freaks me out.
Yeah.
Right? This is where I'm the dinosaur of the group. And I'm just like, I'm at the end of the day, I'm a people person. I wanted to sit and have a conversation with you. Let's get the computers and everything. Let's throw them out. Let's get a pen and a piece of paper and let's figure this thing out together. And it's one of the things we talked about today during the meeting was how do we take AI, still use it, but still have the ability to have a conversation. Like how do we not dumb it down for somebody? You know what I mean?
Because, actually, I don't know what you
so
explain.
We were talking about how when we rely too much on AI, right? We're losing the actual employee. That person now becomes redundant. How do we not have so many redundancies? But how do we use it to be efficient in what we're doing? Like, I forget who was making the mention earlier today of they use Copilot to go ahead, make notes, and that way they can be more interactive in the conversation and more engaged rather than going.
Right.
And what did you say again?
Yeah, because if I'm writing a note, I pulled out my itinerary is right here.
Correct.
It's not on you.
Correct.
And maybe ideating or actively listening.
Yeah. And you're able to make more of a connection that way, and it's a more memorable experience for the person who's sitting across from you, right? And that's where I think AI can be extremely helpful for us, right? Is, hey, give me the recap of the conversation with John. How did it, any task items that I need from that. And then, boom, here you go. This is what I know what I need to do. And I just was solely focused on what you had to say and listening and understanding what you had to say versus listening to think about how I got to make a note and how I'm going to respond to you. But I'm truly having a conversation with John about, hey, this is, we're talking about analytics or sales or whatever it may be, right? So it's really interesting. Scary at the same time.
I was going to say, yeah,
I don't want the
that could happen, or it could be desolation.
I hope not that one.
Yeah, so the AI stuff is interesting. I feel like there is a wide gap between what is talked about and theorized and what is boots on the ground being applied right now. And I mean, we were talking about the student use case in my case studies business analytics class. Like the scale of the content that we can create is just, I mean, it would take a graphic designer, producer, video editor, hours upon hours.
Yeah.
And it's we're going to sit down here and record for an hour, and then we could, leverage Riverside's AI and just chop that up into, I don't know, 20 posts. That's, a whole month's worth of content to put on the social media calendar right there.
That's scary.
I
That's
mean,
scary cool, but not like, I mean,
yeah.
that's so, like, my brain just doesn't compute that stuff, Like,
Really?
yeah, like, I'm like, wow, that is like, when we're seeing the studio earlier today, I'm like, this is so cool. Tell me about this.
Yeah,
This is
you
so
did look like
cool.
a kid in a candy shop. When you
Oh,
got in here and you were like, wow, the lights.
yeah, what does
are
that button do?
Yeah.
Can it play music? Shoot fireworks. And Craig's like, yeah, we can shoot fireworks.
Yeah, he's got the like
Yeah.
little button that he can push whenever.
Yeah, I was like, streamers or something, but maybe next time.
Yeah.
But it's really how technology and this whole digital world that we're in, and where I think it could be helpful for our company is we're able to track consumer engagement, right, and see how we are interacting with customers. Back in the day, you think when I graduated, not that long ago, by the way, it was not that long. 2008. I'm still 39. I'm a young guy.
Was it this century?
I was talking to one of the class. I was like, just guys, no, I'm still pretty young, right? I know the gray hair is going to fool you, but I'm still pretty young.
Yeah, my sister got a shirt for Christmas from her daughter that said, be patient, I was born last century.
Yeah, I tell my kids I'm older than Google, and they're like, nah. And I'm like, no, really,
Wow,
I'm older than Google. But no, we're able to, like, you think years ago when I graduated, if I wanted to talk, like if I needed to find out information about something, I'd have to call and find out about it. Now we've got a supercomputer right here, and we are able to just really get into, hey, you can, the consumer now is so educated on everything, right? They know everything there is to know. And when we think about, Greensboro College, this prospective students, they know everything there is to know about Greensboro before they even step on campus, right? And so, like, when we were touring here with my daughter earlier, she knows a whole lot about the school already, and a lot of stuff that she's already done research on. And I'm like, I don't even know about that stuff. I'm like, where did you learn that? So I looked it up. I'm like, oh, all right. So, we're in this digital world where we're able to find everything, right? And the one thing that we may lose sight of is how is the customer interacting with us, right? Are they calling us? Are they looking at us on the internet? Where on the internet? Where on social media? How long? And then this is where you guys come into play, right? Is how often are they watching a video? How long are they watching a video for? What video is given that spike, right? We were talking about this earlier. You look at a long form conversation like we're having right now. How many people have turned this thing off already? Which, since I'm on here, probably a lot. But when do you see spikes, and what's interesting to people, right? And all this analytic stuff, and we can use AI to kind of break it all down and find out what's really big and important to somebody. And that's how we can just be extremely effective and send the brightest people after that consumer who's looking for that specific thing.
Well, it's what you're talking about sounds like social listening, which, Craig, we literally worked on so Craig was in my capstone course last year, and we worked on a social listening project. But Craig, explain, like, what do we do on that project?
Yeah, that was really cool. The people we were working for, it was a nonprofit, and they're trying to raise money. So this is like, we need exposure. And we had this social listening tool that would let us see, we could write up a query and see every single tweet on Twitter that has anything to do with this topic, and every single tweet on Instagram or post on Instagram that has to do with this topic. How many times did this hashtag get used? Is this topic really big on TikTok, but nobody's talking about it on Instagram? And so it was super cool to see, because the platforms are different. It's not just like all the social medias are just the same thing. They actually have their own deal. Like Twitter is long form text. A lot of the stuff that's really successful is people writing threads. And then on TikTok, it's 7-second videos. It's like a snapshot of your attention.
Yeah, very different
to get somebody's attention on there. But then on YouTube, a lot of people are making 15-minute, 20-minute long, almost like mini documentary videos. So the amount of attention span and how you're going to capture that audience is completely different from platform to platform. It was really interesting.
That's pretty cool.
Gotcha. Also, thanks, Craig. I just wanted to plug Craig and his brilliance.
Yeah, Craig, shout out to Craig. This is where the fireworks go off.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Especially because I mean the social listening aspect is, I mean, it's creepy a little bit. Like we're listening. Like I don't know if have you seen that show Succession? Where
we were talking shows earlier. I'm sitting here going, wow, I haven't seen anything.
Well, there was a scene where like they work for this major media conglomerate, and they're like coming up with slogans, and they're like, "How about we're listening?" And they're like, "Well, we are listening through their devices, so maybe we should avoid that." It was just a funny little skit right there. But Chris, this has been awesome. Do you have any, I guess, to kind of close out the podcast? Do you have any like parting advice for anybody? I mean, it doesn't have to necessarily be those looking to get an analytics job, but just in general, like.
Yeah, I think it can be used for analytics. It can be used for anything. Go find the job that no one really wants to go do, right?
Okay.
That is, everyone wants to do the easy thing, right? Yeah. No one wants to do the hard job. No one wants to put in, 13-hour days. And I get it, nor do I. But if you want to, when we look at people who retire early, right? What we don't see, we say, oh, they've made a good amount of money. They were good savers, good investors, or they just got lucky. Your mom and dad took care of them, right? A lot of times what we don't see is someone like myself who's putting in 13, 14-hour days, years at a time, right? Doing the hard job. And go do that, and you'll have a job for life. It'll be easy to get hired. You will become indispensable to an organization. You will absolutely prove your worth 10 times over, and everyone will say, we need to have John or Craig. We got to have Craig.
We gotta have Craig.
We have Craig.
John David's old now.
Yeah, we need Craig. So
we need the up and comer.
Yeah, we need Craig. And, they'll say, man, we can't lose Craig. Craig is important to us. Yeah. So, just go find the hard job, do that, and you'll be all right.
Awesome. Well, Chris, thank you so much. This has been a blast. I appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. I've had so much fun. Craig, you've done a great job.
Thank you.
Yep, great job. This has been it's been pretty awesome. You guys have a great setup here.
Awesome. That felt smooth, right?